listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending some time with us. I am being very closely monitored and supervised.
Yes, he is. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Boy, I had some big news to start with, but then something bigger happened.
Oh, my.
As you probably already know, Iran chose to fire some very nasty armament at Israel. And everybody is all upset and all, just going kind of crazy the way they do. And I'm looking at all of the news articles from around the world. I don't just read American news. I look at Arab news, and I can't remember all the names of them, but it's from all over. And I'm not sure that all of the World War III worries are actually legitimate yet. And the reason I say that is we have to look at what Scripture tells us, look at what's relevant, and look at how the Almighty is going to be doing things. If you look at Zechariah 14:2, I think we went over that not too long ago. Basically, the world will come against Jerusalem. Not just one or two nations, the world. You have to keep these things in perspective, and you have to put them in their correct timing of when these things are going to happen. I don't know when that time is, but I can say this. It's not right now. Are people going to do ridiculous things? Yes, they are. Absolutely, every day. Our nation's going to do ridiculous things? Absolutely, every day. How does that all play into prophecy? How does that all play into Scripture? How does that all play into what we're witnessing? You're not going to like this answer. But the reality is, we have to get to the end of the event to be able to look at prophecy and see how it lines up. We can't just say, oh, this happened, so it has to be this. That's not the way it works. For something prophetic to be fulfilled, it has to be fulfilled in its completeness. It might not look like we think it's going to look, but it has to be fulfilled in its completeness, or it's not fulfilled. So, do we need to be watchful? Absolutely. Do we need to pay attention to what's going on? Yes, we do. Do we need to get caught up in all of the, as we like to say where I come from, gobbledygook? No. Don't play into the fear-mongering. Be watchful, be wary, pay attention, and most of all, and most importantly, trust your Creator. He knows what He's doing. Can we at least agree on that? Okay. So for some lesser news, I thought it was really important until last night, but okay. Are you ready? Inheriting Lies is available on audiobook. Currently, it is at audible.com. By the end of this week, it will be on iTunes and Amazon. I will have that link for everyone on givegod90.com. God's Universe, God's Rules, I expect will be also on audiobook by the end of the week. Probably. Working on it. I told you a couple weeks ago we had some big things coming up, right? And that might not sound like big news to a lot of people, but, audiobooks, a lot of people listen to them instead of sitting down to read, they'll listen to them when they're driving. They'll listen to them when they're, doing their gardening or whatever. So it is another very convenient way for somebody to get the information they need. As they go about their daily chores and that kind of thing, they turn it on their phone and they listen. Years ago, when we were driving back and forth across country, we listened, and Brad Pitt read, I can't even remember the name of the book, but I remember before Brad Pitt was famous, he was a reader for audiobooks. He was a voice actor for audiobooks, and he was very, very good at it. If you're wondering, Tradition to Truth will not be released on audiobook just because it's short, easy read, very, very entry level. You ought to be able to read that in practically no time, just because I wanted to keep it plain and simple. Here's the thing I will say about God's Universe, God's Rules, and Inheriting Lies. I don't recommend listening to them while you're doing something you need to concentrate on, because you're gonna hear something and you're gonna go, wait a minute, what did he just say? And you're gonna want to back it up. So if you're like a nuclear scientist or something like that, don't listen to them while you're working. All right, don't want to be distracting, and you will be distracted. There is going to be some more big news coming up, and we will get to that very soon, before the end of the month. Trust me. On to other things. We all know how the media likes to enjoy reporting that people are walking away from the mainstream churches. And I have some mixed thoughts about that. And I have to remember, I'm in that category, right? I walked away from the mainstream church. And, after years of trying, I wasn't able to convince the church where we regularly attended that the doctrines that they were practicing were conflicting with what the Bible said. Okay? That combined with the money that they were raising was being funneled to terrorist organizations. And Meyer and I said, well, we'll just kick the dust off our feet and move on. So we did. I read an article yesterday or the day before. It's from the American Survey Center, and they report that for the first time, more women are leaving mainstream church than men. Let me read an excerpt from their report, and I quote, "Over the last 2 decades, which witnessed an explosion of religious disaffiliation, it was men more than women who were abandoning their faith commitments. In fact, for as long as we've conducted polls on religion, men have consistently demonstrated lower levels of religious engagement. But something has changed. A new survey reveals that the pattern is now reversed. Older Americans who left their childhood religion, including a greater share of men than women. In the baby boomer generation, 57% of people who disaffiliated were men, while only 43% were women. Gen Z adults have seen this pattern flip. 54% of Gen Z adults who left their formative religion are women, but only 46% are men," end quote. And I have to laugh at all these generation, baby boomer, Gen Z, Gen X, whatever you want to. You know what? It doesn't matter. It's a certain age group. It doesn't have to be a certain generation. You don't have to name it. Just call it what it is. Excuse me. There's a lot of reasons why this is going on. And their report doesn't get into what I would consider the important aspect of it. Believe it or not, the more conservative denominations have a much lower attrition rate than the more liberal denominations do. And that is, well, let's put it this way. In my not so humble opinion, it means that liberal churches that choose to look more like the world are the ones losing the most people. It's that simple. No matter what they do, if you want to look like the world, you're not going to hold on to people who look to our Creator for guidance. Pastors, let that be a lesson to you. Where are these folks going? Nobody asked the question. Oh, they're walking away. Okay, where are they going? Are they leaving church? Are they leaving God? Well, the answer is they're leaving the churches, sometimes in droves. When a church can't stay together, what do you expect people to do? They're not abandoning our Creator. They're abandoning worthless worship. It's that simple. I actually think more and more people are waking up to the realization that what they hear coming out of the pastor's mouth in the pulpit doesn't match what's in the Bible. It's that simple. And they're going, I can't listen to this. I know people who've done it. I've done it. I know a lot of people. When you go to different places that we go, and people start to tell their stories, it's pretty much all the same. We were looking, we were searching, and we couldn't find a place that taught the truth. That's sad. That's just plain sad, and it's inexcusable. People who are searching are going to find the truth. Knock and the door shall be open, right? That doesn't mean for a handout. That means somebody's actually looking for the face of the Almighty, and they're going to find it. And it could be a good reason that podcasts like this one are growing the way they're growing. People listen, and what they hear is not just based on the Bible. What they hear is how it fits together and how you can apply biblical authority and biblical principle to your life, even in this broken, corrupt world we live in. That's what they're looking for, and that's what they're finding. That's why you ride down back roads across the United States and you see little yard signs that says, home church here, Bible study here, with times and dates. They're inviting people to come and, does this fit you? Do you fit with us? Are you ready for the truth? What was that famous movie line? You can't handle the truth. Some people can't. Most of the time they're pastors, but some people can't handle the truth. Some people don't want to know the truth. They enjoy living in their misery and in their corruption, in their sin. But that's for another time. There's something I've been wanting to look at. We've looked at this a little bit before, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail than I usually do. And for this, we're going to start in the beginning, kind of, Genesis. So if you want to read that passage.
Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image and likeness, and let them rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky. Let them rule over the tame animals, over all the earth, and over all the small crawling animals on the earth." So God created human beings in his image. In the image of God he created them. He created them male and female. God blessed them and said, "Have many children and grow in number. Fill the earth and be its master. Rule over the fish in the sea and over the birds in the sky. Rule over everything living that moves on the earth." Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. Then the Lord God took dust from the ground and formed man from it. The Lord breathed the breath of life into man's nose. Then the man became a living person. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7.
Okay. Mankind is created from the earth. But we are also created in the image of God. And that makes us different than anything else that he ever spoke into existence. We are different. The earth is not made in his image. The animals are not made in his image. Now, the animals have a soul because they are living, breathing beings, but the animals are a different kind. In fact, there are several different kinds of animals. And I'm not going to get too scientific. I'm not going to break down the species. I'm speaking in very general terms of kinds. There's the dog or the canine kind. There's the cat or the feline kind, the cattle or bovine kind, horses or equine kind. But there's only one mankind, made very specific in the image of the Creator himself. And excuse me, you know that not even the divine beings or the angels, that we, as we like to call them today, they're not made in the image of the Creator. The very small amount of information we have about heaven actually suggests that our Creator created the divine beings all at the same time. Remember, there's no marriage in heaven. That suggests that there's no reproduction in heaven either. Nehemiah 9:6 reminds us, "You alone are Lord. You created the heavens, the highest heavens, with all their hosts. The earth and all that is in it, the seas and all that's in them. You gave life to all things, and the host of heaven worships you." Mankind is much different than what we could consider the divine kind, right? And by the way, not going down the road this far here, not going down the rabbit trail very far. I'm just going to say this. Because mankind is different than divine kind, it is impossible, according to Genesis, for divine beings to reproduce with mankind. And if you remember, in Earth, each kind can only reproduce with its own kind. Dogs can't reproduce with cats. Horses can't reproduce with cattle. People can't reproduce with apes, and divine beings can't reproduce with people. It's that simple. Enoch. Take your legends and keep them where they belong, as legends and traditions, fictional stories. Now, we are different, but we are also similar. Secular scientists today, I'm going to try and stay calm through this. I promise. Secular scientists today might try to convince you that you have the same genetic code in your DNA as a chimpanzee or a banana. And that's actually true. That's actually true. But as true as it might be, what they don't tell you, and this is important, the lie of omission is still a lie, right? What they don't tell you. Oh my. It is the genetic code is made up of a very long string of numbers and letters. It's kind of like an equation, right? So I'm going to try and make this easy. If a genetic code is several hundred numbers long, and there are in a short series some of the same numbers found in mankind, maybe an ape kind, maybe a fruit kind, that's not saying that we're all related. It's saying that there is a short, and I think it was like 16 numbers out of the, and it's more than several hundred numbers and letters, by the way. if you look at the genetic code, out of that long string of stuff, you have this little itty bitty piece, and they're saying, we're all the same. How about that? We know that the genetic code is much longer than just a few hundred numbers and letters. There's actually probably, when you really get down and they actually understand it, in mankind, there's probably an uncountable sequence of numbers and letters. So it's actually quite reasonable to say, well, because the Almighty uses the same blueprint on a lot of things, there's going to be that short series every once in a while that's going to show up. Now, does that mean that mankind is actually going to turn into a banana someday? No. It means that the Almighty himself, in his blueprint, in his ultimate wisdom, replicates the best of the best. If that means that we have a little short sequence that's the same as a banana, well, that's okay. Now, something else that secular scientists don't mention is that when part of the code, part of that genetic code is either destroyed or altered, the information contained in it is lost. That's not evolution. That's the opposite of evolution. You know, when two dogs with short hair reproduce and their offspring reproduce, the genetic sequence for long hair is lost. And unless that code is reintroduced by another type of animal, another type of dog, the cycle of reproduction in that particular breed will never have long hair. Mankind, on the other hand, is different. For whatever reason, our creators established at our creation that we would retain the information necessary to carry on all the things needed to maintain mankind. A lot of people have done the DNA testing, and it from like Ancestry.com and some other places, and it's revealed some very, very interesting things. Identical triplets that have completely different DNA, for instance. Even in our family, Myra knows a lot about her family history. No mention of Asian ancestry anywhere in her history, but it's in her DNA results. It's kind of strange for somebody with a German-Irish background, right? But yet contained in her genetic code is the information for someone who would typically be considered to have Asian characteristics. Of all the genetic testing I have heard of or read, there's no instance that I can think of where someone has the characteristics of a banana. Although we do call the state of California the land of fruit and nuts. Different story again. I had to say it because everybody was thinking it. Don't look at me like that. Mankind is much different than the animals we share this earth with. Are there similarities? Yes, there are, but there are vast differences. Animals did not receive the breath of God. The spirit that gives us free will, the ability to communicate with our Creator, the ability to communicate with each other, that is in a way that it's far different than the way animals communicate. Now, hopefully, you understand that all the modern science we have is utterly useless unless we apply it through the biblical narrative and use biblical authority to determine the value of a discovery. Without biblical authority, it would be easy to conclude that man's no different than a chimpanzee or a banana. But when we use biblical authority as our guide, it's very, very easy to maintain perspective without a lot of wild speculation. We don't need that. We're made in the image of our Creator, and that means we're different. different than anything else ever created. Even though we might seem similar, we're very, very different. So, hopefully, that clarifies some things I've been seeing on social media and other places. You're not related to a banana. You know, you don't have to worry about peeling Uncle Frank. It's not the way it works. And as soon as the links are available for the audiobooks on other places, I will post them on GiveGod90.com. And until Thursday.
Until Thursday.
We wish you many, many blessings, everyone.
Yes, we do.